Things happening right now. Okay. I got it, lady. I got it. I got it.
Okay, hold on. I got to try to take this off without.
What?
Oh.
Oh.
No, I had my mask
Right.
on because Lisa was in here.
Oh my God, you guys.
Huge.
Today, good Lord. Hi, Michelle. Yeah, we have so many things going on today. We can't even believe it. And you know what? I don't even know what's going to happen. That's why Feedback Friday is fun. You never know. It could be like a train wreck. It could make you laugh. It could make you cry. It could make you say, why the hell did I spend an hour of my life sitting there? You don't know.
You know, we know it's going to be great. Oh, shoot.
It's always going to be great. So I'll just start prepping you guys. So I know as I'm looking at most people who have their videos on, I know you've been here before. So you know there's a Feedback Friday song, right? Thumbs up if you know there's a Feedback Friday song. Okay, Peter, come on. Well, today our presenter is going to be singing it. Only one other time in our 80 episode history has this happened, and it's been Anita Cazzola and her partner Sam, and or my husband who wrote the song. He sung it twice live, but Britt's gonna take her own. She's gonna take it on with piano today, and we just were practicing, and we were saying it's not a Beatles documentary clean, but we're going to, as Kathy says, let it be. Let it be. Let it be.
We're at the mercy of the Zoom gods.
And they are angry.
They're not angry. So we'll see how it goes.
All right, Britt, hit it.
Really?
Aren't we ready? Yeah, we're in. Everyone's
We're still letting people in. Okay, well, I'm not fully prepared. Okay, Helen Kennedy's here. All right, so hold on.
All right, Helen's in the house.
I have to spotlight Britt. Okay, and everybody, if you could just mute.
Yeah, you gotta mute.
You gotta mute, or this will be. See, because we don't have a mic, it's a little the piano's fighting a little bit with Britt. But you know what? It's great.
Britt will win. Okay.
Britt will win over it.
Spoiler alert, Britt will win.
Spoiler alert.
Will prevail.
Britt Boles wins. I like Marianne Richards. I am vibrating with excitement. Okay.
You give me the green light.
1, 2, 3, hit it.
Well, it's the end of the week, and where have you been? It's Feedback Friday, so come on in. Come and sit down and stare at the screen. We've got a presenter that you've never seen. It's Feedback Friday, and we're on the loose. You be the chain, and we can be the caboose. Welcome to my house. I'm Indigo doula. Things might seem blue now, but they could get bluer. It's Feedback Friday, counting on Amy, mashed potatoes, and the gravy. It's Feedback Friday, all day long. It's Feedback, it's Feedback Friday.
Oh my goodness, that was so wonderful. Thank you.
Yay!
That was so great.
Woo!
All right.
All right.
We heard it.
You're a trooper.
We heard
You heard it here.
Yeah. Well, welcome. Welcome to Botanical Colors Feedback Friday Variety Show and Talent Extravaganza. We are here on Friday. It's Friday, December 17th. I can't believe it's the end of the year. And today is episode 80. This is our last episode for 2021, and it is a bit mind-boggling that we've been so lucky to have you join us for over the past couple of years for 80 madcap adventure weeks, with more to come in 2022. So Amy's not feeling well, so I'm just trying to make sure she's not
Oh,
laughing
no,
and not.
no. If I
Okay.
run, if I'm
If
not
she
here,
runs, it's nothing personal, okay? It's just a little stomach flu. So Feedback Friday is Botanical Colors weekly show where we speak with dyers, artists, scientists, writers, growers, activists about our favorite topic, which is color and natural dyeing. I'm Kathy Hattori, president of Botanical Colors, and somehow I am still standing. Did I write that, or did you write that?
I think you wrote that.
I wrote that. I'm
That's
feeling
good.
that right
Clever,
now.
Kathy. I like it.
I'm still standing. I'm here alongside Amy Dufault, Sustainability and Communications Director at Botanical Colors, and we're really pleased to welcome you this week. This week on Feedback Friday, we have the most amazing, multi-talented guest extraordinaire, Britt Boles, founder of Seaspell Fiber, and also the super popular Indigo Pigment Extraction Methods group on Facebook. Indigo, and more indigo. Britt will share lots of exciting and helpful information on the nuances of growing and vatting homegrown pigment, because everybody grew indigo this year. We also have a couple of different links that Amy will put in the chat, and it'll be on the posting about other people that and what they were doing with indigo. It's so interesting to see how people are making this journey. So those will be there too. And Britt's also going to talk about these amazing clamp resists that she has invented alongside her husband and partner that are really producing very crisp results for beautiful graphic effects. And we were able to sell those for our Feedback Friday holiday market. We have a few left, so she's going to chat about those. But before we start, I just want to reflect on another year under the specter of COVID. We were really, really hoping that we'd be able to see the end of the pandemic by about this time, but now we're looking at another surge. So I just want to make sure that everybody stays safe, encourage you to get boosted if you're going to get boosted, do all those things so that we can end this deal. Because right now, this is feeling like long COVID for everyone. We're tired, we're deflated, holidays are coming, plans are changing, but we're going to get through this. So just stay safe out there, please. And, hopefully this will be the beginning of the end. I think that's what Winston Churchill said, right? This is the end. No, this is the beginning of the end, or the end of the beginning. I can't remember. Anyway.
Starting to sound apocalyptic.
It is. Let's just lighten it up. We couldn't do this without you. I wanted to send out a huge thank you to everyone. I know, I think I just got really bummed because I had to write, like every few weeks or every few months, I write like a little COVID update to my staff, like where we're at and how everything's going, and what does the public health group say? And it just didn't feel as optimistic this time. So anyway, I will just brighten it up here. Of course, we could not do any of this without you. So thank you for your incredible support throughout the year. And now for a little housekeeping, Amy is our moderator. She's going to be monitoring the chat when we open it up at the end of the presentation. And when we conclude the session today, we'll be opening up both audio and video so that you can all say hello and goodbye. And I think that is it. Oh no, we're going to have a recording of this that'll be posted so that you can review and relive those madcap moments when we were singing the Feedback Friday song, or the dance collective was dancing, or something else really fun was happening. So we're just going to seg into the presentation. Madam Britt Boles, you are now on, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, everyone. It's really, really wonderful to see so many faces. I think that's what I miss the most during this pandemic time, is seeing all your faces. So this is second best to being in person, but
the bonus is we can see your smiles. So it's really lovely. Thank you, Amy and Kathy, for inviting me on and also for hosting the plants in the holiday market. Really excited that you guys are excited about them, and I'm going to share more about that in a minute, but I thought I'd share another little, I would say a silver lining or maybe a blue lining. Something that came out of COVID for me during this time was some deep reflection and also some poetry and of course more music. So this is a poem and a song that I wrote. Of course, it's dedicated to my main muse, Indigo. So without further ado, I will attempt to share. Your screen. Hopefully everyone can hear.
Once upon a time, before indigo was powdery blue dust, it was thick paste, deep canyons highlighted wrinkles, stained maps through a desert of cerulean skin. But before it was midnight pigment, it was glassy blue bubbles, indigo worlds spinning out of orbit, mermaid foam. Before it was a sky-high pile of indigo meringue, it was a neon blue-green tea of sickening sweet fermented leaf juice, the kind of sweet that makes your teeth hurt looking at cake. And before it was antifreeze-colored water, it was bright green leaves on a knotweed stem, rooting out eagerly at each node, clumps of blue potential supporting each other in the dirt. Before it was knee-high leafy goodness, it was a single sprout, with a few small green leaves swaying like a miniature palm. Before it pushed up through the dirt, somehow miraculously opposing the downward gravitational pull of the earth, it was a tiny brown seed, smooth and shiny, and smaller than a grain of rice, but bigger than a grain of sand. And before it was a tiny seed, it was clinging to its mother in a small cluster of pink flowers, basking in the sun, kissing bees, not yet a thought of future blue, just being, just beginning.
A little promo there. Thank you. And now I'm going to switch over to my presentation for y'all. So we'll begin at the beginning. Again, for anyone who hasn't met me or who just joined, my name is Britt Boles, and I live in a small coastal town next to the Pacific Ocean called Gearhart. And I've lived here for coming up on 8 years. I grew up in the Portland metro area in Oregon, and I've been lucky to live in the Pacific Northwest my whole life. We're surrounded by mountains and ocean and rivers and lots of green forested areas. So I feel really fortunate to grow up here. And my husband, who I met 11 years ago, he is from this area. So that's why I decided to move to the coast. And we have a daughter who is 7, or almost 7, next month, named Scarlett Wren. And I was really, really moved to explore a new artistic expression, actually after giving birth to Scarlett. So it was a really meaningful time for me to be in a new community, in a new place, inspired by the ocean, inspired by being a mother. So a lot of my kind of metaphor and verbiage around indigo has those birthing terms. So I call myself indigo doula because I'm fortunate to really work with people and help them birth their blue, whether it's through growing the plant or through making their vat at home. That's really my passion. And I've been a teacher for almost 20 years. First as a music teacher, I was a piano instructor. That was my full-time job before I had Scarlett. and now as an indigo doula. So I feel really fortunate to work with people in that realm. Doulas work with both, both bookends of life, the birthing and the death, and a lot of growing plants really mirrors all of those natural cycles. So this is a plant that hooked me. It really, you could say I became obsessed with this plant and meeting it and growing it and learning how to coax that blue pigment out. I really was just fascinated by this plant. And this is what really took me deep into the world of natural dyes and fiber arts. So I was really fortunate to meet a local farm because I was on a sand dune. I don't have a lot of dirt or growing area. I can grow in backyard pots, but that's about it. And so this farm, North 453 in the Halem, my good friend Ginger told me to come and plant indigo on her farm, which is a tea farm. I'm actually drinking some of her butterfly blue tea right now to get in the mood, the blue mood. So I was very fortunate to really have community around indigo just instantly. And so I tend the dye garden there with many plants, as you see, not just Japanese indigo, Persicaria tinctoria, but also many of the favorites. I'm sure you guys are familiar with a lot of these. And this blossom to seed to pigment to plant cycle is really what fascinates me. I would say it fascinates me even more than the blue cloth. That might be sacrilegious to say, but the blue cloth is incidental to me. It really is these plant processes that are the art and really pull me, and year after year, I never get tired of it. So here are some of the seeds. Just to give you an idea of my year here, I'm in growing zone 8B for anyone who keeps track of that. And my seeding usually begins on spring equinox. So that's when I start seeds indoors. You could absolutely plant this seed directly into the soil after your first frost. But for me, it makes a little more sense since I have a shorter growing season to try to start them indoors and capitalize on a longer growing season. So those get transplanted in May, and I have several different varieties that I work with. It's a multiple harvest plant. It grows very quickly. So it's wonderful to be able to cut it several times throughout the year. I do a lot of workshops in the summer months and fall. And these are just some of the techniques that I like to work with. There are so many. Indigo is endless, and you could really just focus on it your whole life and never experience all of its bounty. It's a really generous plant, a really generous teacher. I would say my favorite methods to utilize are the fresh methods, getting to use the plant, getting to pick it, the very tactileness of, mashing it with your hands, using your two tools to connect with the plant is just really meaningful and easy and fun and accessible. Everyone can do it, children can do it. And then I also really enjoy the pigment process. So coaxing that pigment out of the plant and then applying it in various ways, whether it's pastel or batting or watercolors. So much to play with. So this is what indigo harvest looks like. It's very communal for me. It's really a time of celebration, and we do a little ritual. This is the indigo tent that my dear pal and Indigo Fest partner Iris Sullivan sets up, and we all contribute to kind of honoring a little homage to the plant before we begin our harvest. And you can see all my pals are here. I wouldn't be able to do it without them. So there's about 3 to 6 rows each year that we harvest from. So it's quite a lot of plants. A lot to do by yourself. So this is what it looks like when it goes in my car. I actually stick it into a 100-gallon tank, and I take it home, fill it with water, put a few stones over it, and wait till it turns this beautiful color. I call it mermaid water. This is indoxyl rich liquid. This is a precursor to indigo. Right now, indigo in here is soluble. So if you know anything about vatting, you know that indigo pigment is not soluble, right, when it's in its final form, but right here, it's soluble, but it's very unstable. And it's obviously not very concentrated because I have a lot of water in here. So you can dye at this stage, but I usually move through this stage into the pigment extraction phase, it's called, where I will add a flocculant, lime, calcium hydroxide lime, which raises the pH and also makes pigment heavy and drops to the bottom. And I need to add some oxygen. I need to aerate so that 2 indoxyl molecules can combine to make indigo tin. So this is where the magic happens. You can see it going from that mermaid color, that antifreeze green, to darker green, to blue, to bluest. And this is just, it's so much fun to experience in real life. It's hard to express over a video. But then we have our raw paste, and I actually like to keep it wet. It's wetted out, it's hydrated, it's ready for the vat. I'll store it in the fridge most often, but you can absolutely dry it up to dry powder pigment form as well. Both of them store for quite a long time. And it's amazing to look at a green plant and go, wow, I just got that blue pigment out of it. Never gets old. Really fun. So people ask me a lot about tips for vatting homegrown pigment. And I'll say this, you become your own expert of your own pigment. Everything is nuanced when it comes to growing a plant, from your environment, right? Your water, how much sun it receives, if you nitrogen feed your plants, the type of indigo bearing plant you have. Maybe you grow an indigo pharaoh variety that's going to be different than my persicaria, right? And then of course, your harvest timing, your fermentation timing, how much lime you add. You can see there's a lot of plates spinning, right? And so your end product is probably not going to look anything like my end product. And it's probably going to be very different from commercial pigment products as well, right? So I just want to say this, be willing to experiment. So be willing to do a lot of really small trials before going all in, before you trying to get a 500 gram vat going. Do a lot of 10 gram or 20 gram or, under 50 gram vats. I really love the clear glass jar experiments for every natural dye. I'm kind of obsessed. So I want to do multiple glass jars because I can see reduction. I can see what's going on in there. It's a lot harder once it gets into a big vat, right? Another thing you can do, it's simple, but it took me a while, is start an indigo journal. Really keep track, because every batch is going to be different, right? Every time you harvest, every time you learn something new, right? Keep track of that. You think you're going to remember, but you don't. I don't remember, at least my mind. You go through so many harvests in a year that it's really hard to keep track of all that. And then if you're going to be using your paste wet and hydrating it, it can be tricky to look at a lot of the 1-2-3 ratio recipes and go, well, they're using dry powder and I'm using wet paste. How do I know how much to add? So just simply drying out a little bit of your paste. So weighing it wet, then weighing it when it dries. So you create your own ratio for what your dry powder looks like. And then keeping in mind, if you're using lime as a flocculant, that's adding weight. Water is adding weight, lime is adding weight. So again, be willing to experiment and then take good notes for yourself. Your future self will really appreciate you. The easiest way to keep track of that extra lime is just test the pH. Okay, so you should start by knowing the base of your water, right? Test your own water. Well water can be a higher pH than normal municipal city waters, right? So you gotta have your baseline. And then once you add your lime to your paste and you're going to make a vat with it, go ahead and just test the pH of that. See what that's at before you start adding lime. You might not need to add as much as you would with a typical ratio recipe, right? And try out different reducers. Sometimes one reducer just isn't making the magic happen for you. again, be willing to experiment, right? Some people have iron in their well water, so maybe you don't need to add as much. Maybe you already have a little bit of reducing agent built right in, which is really neat. My friend at her farm has iron well water, so experiment with that. And also understand that it is a different indigo tin content. So you're going to use your own feedback, your own library to create your own recipe. And actually, Botanical Colors has wonderful how to make 1, 2, 3 vat ratio recipes, right? With recommendations on how much pigment to add per liter of vat liquid. And this is so helpful. Thank you guys for putting these up. But these are based off of generally commercial indigo powder, so dry powder weight, right? So you can kind of work with the knowledge that commercial indigo powder content, so when we have 100 grams of powder, let's say, 20% of that could be indigo tin or up to 50%. I think that you guys carry a lot of really wonderful indigo from Living Color and also Stony Creek, and it does have a percentage rating on there. It has that knowledge. But when we're working with homegrown indigo, there's nuance. It's like when you go to the grocery store, you see the beautiful shiny apples, and then you grow your own apple. And maybe it's not as aesthetically pleasing, whatever that means, right? Whatever the standard of beauty is. It might have some blemishes on it. It might be a different color, but it still tastes good and it still works. It's still an apple. So know that your pigment is still pigment. It just may not be as concentrated as the commercials. So I think all of that is helpful. Understanding paste weight is much heavier than dry powder weight. Understanding that you're probably working in a lower indigo tin percentage rating. You can invest in getting your pigment tested. Stony Creek Colors actually will test. I have a little asterisk here because not all indigo sold as natural indigo is 100% plant-based. And that can be deceiving for us because when we interact with commercial synthetic indigo, it is a 95% indigo tin experience, but it's synthetic, right? So it can really kind of mess us up. It's like the beauty standards can mess us up when we look at what is perfection versus what is reality. So know that your pigment is useful. Know that your pigment is yours. It's your local blue. It's beautiful. But experiment, get to know it, get a relationship with it, like you would with anything else, right? Don't expect it to react and behave like, other things. Comparison is the thief of joy, right? So I go over a lot of this in my Intuitive Indigo e-course. You guys have a link up, I know, but we go over setting the vat table, which I'm going to show you here in a minute, and then building the vat mother stock with 4 different reduction agents, with both commercial and homegrown pigment. So if you're interested in that, there's more info at indigofest.org. And then I have to talk about the indigo pigment extraction methods group because I think a lot of you here in the audience I've met from that group. So it's like a wonderful indigo family. It's a global group. If you are on Facebook, you can join. Anyone can join. Indigo pigment extraction methods is dedicated to plant processes. That means we don't discuss commercial pigments in our group because we just want to stay focused on growers, farmers, or foragers if you're lucky enough to have wild indigo bearing plants where you live. So we really keep it focused and niche, and it's wonderful what has come out of that group. The friendships, the connections. My favorite thing is seeing other people in other countries, connect with each other, meet up in real life, share seeds, become friends. A lot of my friends have come from this group. I'm so grateful. I say everything I learned about indigo is through this group. And this group started because I was growing indigo for the first time, and I wanted to share with my friends here locally. I had given them some plants, and they said, well, what do we do with it? And I said, I don't really know, but I'm going to find out. And when I find out, I'll share it with you in this Facebook group. So originally, this Facebook group was just me and 4 other friends. And then slowly, I just started kind of meeting other people from the other natural dye groups, from the internet, from Instagram, and asking them to join the group, which they were gracious and did. And there were so many generous shares that I felt inspired to generously share what I do as well. I think each indigo process is very personal, but it's nice just to see what other people are doing and get inspired by that. Lots of experiments here. And last year during the pandemic, still ongoing, we're still in it. I was also inspired to start a little interview series like Botanical Colors Feedback Friday, but specifically talking to indigo growers and farmers. And so that series you can watch, happens most Mondays from November to March, trying to do it during the off season now. So we have a little more time to chat. And I've got 30 interviews up, and you can go and watch them. They're all recorded. Wonderful, inspiring people who have also just really intimately shared their journeys with indigo. So it's been beautiful to get to know these people. I feel like I have a family all over the world. It makes the world bigger, it's smaller and more intimate. And when you hear people's stories, it really broadens your perspective. It also just really changes how you interact and view the world as well. So I'm so grateful to everyone who shared their stories. There's lots more coming up starting in January. Heather K. Powers is sharing with us next. She's been doing a ton of schooling and research on indigo, so I'm really excited to talk to her. And this is just how you can follow me on Instagram, Seaspell Fiber, at indigo.fest, which is a project with my dear pal, Iris Sullivan Dare. We have indigofest.org where we teach online classes, in-person classes. We have Indigo Fest. You can mark your calendars for the last weekend in August if you want to come visit the Pacific Northwest. You can sign up for our newsletter and we'll be sending out more info. But that's where we sell tools and classes. And a lot of these beautiful images, I have to shout out to my friend Christine Noel James. She's a person who really gets to catalog and capture a lot of my indigo journey. So thanks for watching. Let me know if you have any questions.
Britt, are you also planning to do the overview of your studio?
Yes, yeah, I'm going to do that right now. Yeah.
Okay, great. So Amy, let's hold the questions then.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
This truly is a variety show today.
Yeah. All right. We've done the singing. We've done the dancing.
Camera view set up.
All right. Great. Thank you,
All
Britt.
right, I'll launch into showing you the shapes. So right behind me, you can
And
see.
and Britt, if I could just interrupt, we've got about 10 to 15 minutes.
Okay. Let's do a really fast shape demo. And I will start the video here so you can see me. Also, can you also see me in the other view?
Hold on. Oh, yep. Okay. Let me spotlight that too.
Yeah, you can spotlight this.
Yep.
So I want to just talk about the clamps and shapes. These are our Renew Resist shapes. These are 3D printed. Basically, my husband saw my struggle with a lot of the wooden shapes I was creating, breaking, snapping, cracking. And I had spent so much time on a scroll saw really developing these wooden shapes. So he's a problem solver and he said, hey, I think that my 3D printer could print some really beautiful shapes and we could turn 1, 2, 3 tools into one tool. So this is what it looks like when it's one tool. So these shapes actually click in to this clamp and they're pretty secure. You can take them off, but it takes a little bit of effort. So what's really nice about that is when you're going to dye a piece of fiber, right? You only have 2 hands. And you really kind of struggle. I know I struggle. I feel like I need 3 people there to help me get a piece ready. So as you can see, the top and bottom are actually interchangeable. These are identical. And they have a little indent here. And the indent lines up with the arm of the clamp here. So when I put the top in, it's really flexible and easy. It just clicks right in. And when I go to insert the top, oh, you're not seeing this view? Somebody said they can't see them.
Yeah, I don't know
think
why.
my
We can
voice
see
is
it.
highlighted.
You know what? You know what? I know what's going on. I'm going to remove this spotlight, and so
There
let's
we
just
go.
keep it on that one. Yep.
Yay.
Sorry,
So for
Brennan.
anyone who didn't get to see yet, so these are aluminum C clamps, and the top just clicks in. I'll do that again. The top you can just click in, and again you can use either one, doesn't matter. And then for the bottom, you're going to line up the indent right here with the arm of the clamp. So you don't want it to be like that. You want it to be like so. And from here, you're going to tighten it. And this is the initial click in. So you only really have to do this once. Once I do this, I have my clamps set up for me. I don't take them apart. You don't really have to unless you want to for storage purposes. But once they're set up, they're just set up and you can just go straight to getting your fiber inside. So that's what's really nice. So I just make sure that my indent is in line and I secure my shape, tighten it down real good. And from here, I can open it up. And look at that. So the clamp is doing all the work for me. I don't have to hold on to those shapes, they're secured. And now I can just take my piece of fiber, I can line it up exactly how I want. And look at the freedom right here. This is freedom. Okay, normally I'm struggling because I'm trying to hold the clamp, hold the shape, hold it, align it, right? There's a lot of kind of struggle that happens at this stage of what is called itagine clamp resist, which originated in Japan, and they would have used string, and then once C clamps were developed, they moved over to the C clamp as a really useful tool. But now, if you have one tool instead of 3 tools, you just have the ease, right? And it's much faster. So once my shapes are locked in, I just keep them like this. I just store them and they're ready to go, right? And so then I can create all sorts of patterns, all sorts of design. My indigo vats right here. So I'll just dip in it, show you while we talk and answer questions, actually. Yeah, so I'm grateful that you guys are interested in this shape. It's been really exciting to do lots of different designs. We have up in the shop right now, we have little sets. So we have a star and a crescent moon set. We have a little circle and a big circle, which is in the vat right now. You just saw it. You can also get the big circle with the crescent moon as a set. So there's 3 sets, come with 2 shapes and 2 clamps. And I'm really excited because I'm starting to see a lot of the work that's being created with these shapes. People are posting images of their products that they're selling, or just art that they're creating, and it's been a lot of fun to see that. I really wanted to make some useful tools like this for a while. But yeah, Amy, if anyone has questions, now I'm just dipping into that. I'll show you guys
All right.
out.
Yep. Let me, I just lost where I was. Sorry. Okay. Okay.
We'll just do a nice little
First one. What
here.
specifically do you use to test the pH of the vat? It's hard to read paper strips. Any tips?
It is. Invest in a good pH meter is what I have to say to you. So this is one of my favorites. It's Apera. I don't know if you can read the brand name, but it's just a handheld. These run between $50 and $100. I think this one is around $50 or $60. If you're working with indigo a lot, you're going to use it. If you're growing, you're going to use it during the extraction phase. If you're vatting, you're going to use it every time you go and greet your vat in the morning. So I have a little booklet, and this is where I keep track of all of my little test strips. I keep track of the pH. I keep track of the temperature. I have my own language about the visuals and the smells of the vat, and all of this just kind of becomes part of me, becomes part of my knowledge base, and then pretty soon you start to intuit, right? But before you can intuit, these tools are really just, they can't be beat, you know, they're really handy. So.
Britt, you know, when I do the video post, let's make like a whole list of some of your favorite tools.
Oh yeah, sure.
Okay, and then we can link to them so everybody can have them.
Yeah,
All
absolutely.
right. Can I ask you another question, or are
Yeah,
you?
sure. And
okay.
I'll show you. Can everyone see this right up in the
Oh,
back?
okay, hold on, I'm gonna switch over.
Nice and blue-green, oxidizing. I don't know, the color on the screen is very different.
Yeah, you
from
can see
that,
it's beautiful.
Yep.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah, any other questions? Yeah.
Yep, okay, here's one. Where do you recommend to have the indigo percentage analyzed?
So Stony Creek Colors actually does it for a small fee. You would send them a bit of your pigment, and they will, it takes about 4 to 6 weeks, and there's I forget what the fee is, but I think it's under $50 based off of a certain amount of grams. So you just contact them through their website, stonycreekcolors.com. And you know, a lot of people who are just using it for their home use don't get their indigo percentage, you know. You can absolutely create your vat without that knowledge, but let's say you're thinking about selling your pigment, that would be a great thing to invest in, or you're just a curious person and you want to know.
Are you going to show us that? Oh, look at that. Look at that.
I know which camera
That
to
is
show it
nice
to.
and clean. Yeah, I'll put you on this one, on the hand one.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
So there's our little moon. So this is a lot of fun. One of my favorite things to do, I can show you, is shape shifting, where you kind of adjust the shape and move it along to create different patterns. I like that this looks kind of like an eyeball.
That's awesome.
Yeah, any other questions? I can just show you a few samples too.
You want to take questions too?
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay. Suzanne, my dried indigo is gray and grayish blue. What did I do or not do?
That's a great question. So probably some of the most popular questions in the indigo pigment extraction methods group are, is my indigo done? Does it look like it's done? Is it done yet? How much lime should I add? Is this too much lime, right? A lot of that is, you can almost think of it like me asking you over the internet if your noodles are cooked. Like, I'm not sure if your noodles are cooked or not. You have to experience your noodles. So again, doing those small experiments where when you're doing an extraction, do multiple jars. Take out your extraction liquid, do a little lime in this one, do a little bit more lime in this one. You could measure it, right, and keep track. So that is a great way to get feedback. It is Feedback Friday. So get feedback from your plants, get feedback from your extraction, get feedback from your vats. My guess is probably a little extra lime, or maybe even an over fermentation. So again, experiment with different fermentation times, experiment with different lime. Not all lime is created equal. I can say that as well. Look for pure grade, I would say food grade, calcium hydroxide. It's usually sold as called pickling lime. Hydrated lime that's sold in the hardware store works, but I find that the food grade lime has less impurities. So even if it says 100% calcium hydroxide, doesn't always mean it's 100%, unfortunately. So I would look at either trying a different lime, trying less lime, or trying different fermentation times. Yeah.
Hey, Amy, can I
Yes.
jump in just for a second?
Yes,
And
ma'am.
I have a visual that
Oh,
might
hold
be
on.
interesting for people. I'm trying to
Let me-
figure out how to show it.
Whoa, triple
Oh,
spotlight.
hi. Oh, how do we do this? Okay, I'm gonna just tip my camera down and see if you guys can see this. Can you see these?
Yes.
Yeah, beautiful.
Okay, so this is an indigo cake that I bought from someone who was growing in the Himalayas. And you can see it's kind of gray blue, right? This is from Tamil Nadu, south of India. And then this one's from Iran. And the woman who brought it for me, we're really suspect if it really even has, we don't think it has natural indigo in it because, and it may not even have any indigo at all. This might be like fiber reactive Play-Doh that's basically been just dried. So that's kind of what's out there sometimes when, especially as you're making your own, you can get a huge range depending on like what your indigo is, how you precipitated it, how you, all that chemistry that Britt is talking about. And so you will see this range. I've never tried any of these, but maybe one day, Britt, when you come up here, we can like crack them open and see what happens. Yeah. All right. I'm going to turn it back over to you.
But I'm so glad you showed that, Kathy. That's a brilliant visual. And yeah, I would say it doesn't mean your pigment isn't useful. It absolutely is useful. It just may have more, sometimes it's dirt, to be honest, unless you wash your plants really well. During the extraction, I keep mine as covered as possible because bugs want to get in there. It's smelly and they like it and they will dive bomb and die. And so I'll find bees and flies and all sorts of things. So, we're working in our backyards, a lot of us. We're working in our garages and we're working with tools that we have available. So you can use your screen off of your window, off your house, just to keep the bugs out. Or keep a tarp or lid over it. But just, their bugs are going to get in there. And that's okay. That's okay. You can absolutely work with that. Again, just be willing to experiment with your ratios, right? You can do some rinsing, and a lot of people ask about that. So water alone isn't going to dissolve your calcium hydroxide, but it can get rid of some of the other plant impurities or bug impurities. If you want to get actually dissolving the calcium hydroxide that can convert to calcium carbonate, which is chalk. It's just a filler, right? It's not going to harm anybody. It's not going to harm your bat, but it can make your pigment look like more, weight-wise than it is actual indigo tint, right? So to get rid of that, sometimes people will rinse with vinegar or citric acid. You do need to be careful when you're doing those. You can create a volcano with alkalinity and acid. So I would say experiment slowly with those things, but people do that as well. I typically don't. I just don't rinse my paste. I use what I have. I use it as is, and I experiment. But every batch is different.
All right. I'm going to throw another question at you.
Okay.
Let's see. What about dried Persicaria leaves? I have to dry my Persicaria crop most seasons. I read that Michelle Garcia is talking about a, quote, revolutionary new method, end quote, of making a paste of indigo pigment from dried leaves of indigo plants. So mysterious. Do you know what this is about? Does this work with Persicaria?
Yes. So it's actually posted in the group. Michelle shares a lot of his recipes to Facebook, and he's very generous. He's in the group as well. And so we've shared his post in the group. You can search dried Persicaria and it'll come up. So basically, you're creating a direct vat with your leaves. It's not going to be as concentrated as pigment, of course, but that's okay. You're going to soak your leaves a couple of times until all the yellow, which is the flavonoids, rinse out, similar to processing safflower. So you're going to get rid of that yellow first, and then you basically make a vat with your leaves. And the addition of potassium, I believe it's potassium carbonate. I haven't actually done this, so I'm not speaking from experience, just from what I've seen in the group and what Michelle has posted, can help remove the pigment from the leaf. Because here's what you should know, is that the fiber, basically the leaf has become fiber and the indigo is trapped inside now. So now you're saying, give me that out of that fiber, right? And what do we know about indigo? We know that its physical bond is strong. Once it gets in, it stays. It's not soluble in water. That's why it's such a great fast dye, right? So it is a little, I would say, trickier to coax because it's become bonded to something and it's oxidized on the leaf. When we're working with Indigo there's a unique advantage because Indigo leaves don't oxidize when they dry, they actually stay green. And that is unique to the Indigo. So you can work directly with that leaf a little bit with a little more ease, but Persicaria does oxidize as it dries. So if you're searching for that recipe, you can search Michelle Garcia's Facebook, dried Persicaria, or in the group as well.
Yeah, I can't say enough about your group, how exciting it is. But then it makes me just want to do indigo all the time. And then I'm like, I don't know anything about indigo. I thought I knew a little something about it. Forget it. But it's such a great way. I mean, a lot of the questions you guys are asking right now, you can talk about them and ask them all the time in that group. And there's always, it's like the people who hang around the water cooler. They're ready to hang out and talk indigo. Okay, here's one. Can you tell us more about your small scale Sukumo techniques? Is like a tongue twister for me, sorry. And how little kilo of dried leaves would you be able to start with?
So I have not personally done any small scale Sukumo. There are other people in the group who have, and I would highly recommend going to the Botanical Colors website and buying the book, The Way of Indigo from Takayuki Ishii. He has a wonderful feedback Friday here as well. So he is an expert, I'm not. So definitely look into learning from him and buying his book. He talks about a small scale, which is about, about 14 gallons or 7 kilos. I forget how much.
7 kilos.
Is it 7? Yeah, there you go. Thank you. 7 kilos of dried Persicaria tinctoria leaves is what he starts with. Could you do it with a smaller batch? Yes, I know that some people have. Those people also recommend doing a larger batch. So if you can get up to, see if 7 kilos is your starting point, that would be recommended. I am going to attempt my very first. I took a wonderful class from Deborah Ketchum-Jersick and online, and she is done a lot more experimenting than I have. So I'll keep you posted on mine, but a lot of people in the group post about it. If you go ahead and just search, use those search words, there's an in-group search bar. Utilize that tool and you'll find other posts on it.
So much information here. I noticed the compost around the plants, probably in your in a picture or in a video, probably in your slideshow. I noticed the compost around the plants. How long will they last in a climate like Oregon? Do you need to replant from seedlings each season? And when do you sprout then plant?
Yes. So I started in March, and then I transplant in May, and then I usually get to do my first cutting in June. And this is the first year that I've actually done mulching. So what you're seeing around the base of the plants is some straw mulch. Okay, and that is really a useful tool that I was inspired by the Fiber Shed. They do a really intense mulch in California, and that's really to keep the soil hydrated and kind of a slow release of water when you water. So your plants really like, slower, smaller amounts of water over time than one big gulp, which is what we usually give them when we water them, right? So the straw actually holds little pockets of water and slowly releases it. It keeps the soil covered. I'm going to tell you a secret. That is, my water system failed at the farm. Basically right after I planted it. So I watered it 2 times last season by hand. And the rest of the time it was just rainwater that we're lucky enough to get in Oregon. And that mulch kept my plants alive. Isn't that amazing? So I highly recommend mulching. If you just want to save water, it's just brilliant. Yeah, so just get some straw. I would look for pesticide free if you can, and I would look for weed seed free if you can, because sometimes it can kind of dump some weed seeds onto your plants. But I don't have any issues with that. In fact, it keeps the weeds out, it keeps the soil dry. And I get to, what was your other question? It was the 2-parter question. Did I answer that correctly?
Yeah, I have to. Okay. Oh no, it was farther up and all the way down.
Okay. Hopefully I answered most of that.
Yeah. Let's see. Oh no, now I lost that question. Okay.
I do have to plant the seeds again. Sorry, somebody asked. It was an annual. Here in my climate, it is. Yeah. In other climates, it will reseed itself, but generally it's not as robust and it wants to go to flower immediately. So generally speaking, people save seeds and start them again each spring.
And you know what, Kathy, I think right now would be that perfect time for me to share Oaken Arts. So Kathy, do you want to, should I give
Sure.
a background on this, or you want to?
Just a quickie background. So our friend Patricia Bellier of Oaken Arts is relocated out of Seattle and into, I believe, the Okanagan, which is the rural part of Washington State. And she's been growing indigo for a couple of years now. And as a total newbie, has kind of been experiencing things that I thought were really approachable for everyone. So she grew an incredible crop of indigo. And because her growing season is so short, you know, she was letting stuff go to seed and then cut all the flower heads in order to develop the seed. But I think the flower cutting was a little premature. So what ended up happening was she got a lot of beautiful blossoms, but no seeds. So next year it's just really more, you know, you're going to have to either bring your plants indoors and grow them out a little bit later. Because you know, typically up here, it's like October before we actually have seeds, right?
Right. Yeah, she posted in the Indigo Pigmentation methods.
Yeah.
And,
So we just wanted to share that with you.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought
She
that
got
up.
great pigment though.
Yeah, the setting seed part is really dependent on your natural growing environment, but I always recommend setting aside one plant that you don't harvest from. So just let it do its thing, let it go do its natural cycle. If you cut it, you're delaying flowering each time, right?
Right,
So bring it inside, put it in a pot so that you can bring it inside later, and you should be able to get some seeds. I've had years where I couldn't get seeds, like a snap frost killed everything. And it's out of my control. Luckily, there's lots of great seed suppliers, and I know you guys carry seeds in your website too. So.
Yep, we do. Okay, we are almost at 10 o'clock. So, Amy, unless there's a burning last question.
Well, I will harvest them like a Zoom doula, and I will get the questions for Britt that maybe she didn't answer because she's always very generous with that. Right. So anyways, hopefully and then we'll put them in the blog post, the video post.
Right. Yeah. I mean, just so you guys know, you can dig up a plant, put it in a pot and bring it inside and let it finish its thing. So you know, you can save seed. Okay. I'm just going to wrap up.
Wow.
Oops, hit the mute button. Okay. So just first of all, Britt, thank you. That was really lovely.
Thank you.
To hear the song, see the movie. I mean, it's like we've had this multimedia experience and I'm feeling like, okay, we have a few more of those beautiful clamp resists that Britt and her husband made. They're on the site. Amy will link you to that. And we're going to be developing more tools for the new year. So really excited for some potential collaborative creativity coming out of Seaspell and Botanical Colors. Really looking forward to that. We also had, for those of you who were able to join us, Rachel McHenry from Botanica Tinctoria did a free online live embroidery workshop. And we are offering that as a bonus to anybody who purchases the threads or the patterns or the bundles. And if somehow I've missed you because this is all being done manually, just shoot us an email at orders@botanicalcolors.com and we'll provide you the link. But we are offering the video to you to review if you purchase some of Rachel's beautiful products. And we also just want to say that there's a new color wheel out there for the Chicago Great Lakes region. We've sold through most of them, but we have a few left. And we're praying that we get a mail pickup today or we're going to take it to the post office, but we're getting a lot of shipments out by this weekend so that you can get things by midweek next week if you're doing any type of gifting. And next week, well, we're off next week, you guys. It's the holidays and we're going to be out of town and we're just going to be like chilling. But, and we're also off for the New Year's. So, but Friday, January 7th, we will have Tierney Tice, who's a marine conservationist, Carol Dunham, a medical anthropologist, and Leslie Robertson, a textile educator and consultant who will share the discoveries of fabrics from nature through their project Around the World in 80 Fabrics, from natural dyes used in Bhutanese textiles to clay-dyed bark cloth of Uganda and cutting-edge dyes and fabrics from algae. So this will be very interesting. I hope you can join us then.
So good.
Great. And happy holidays to all of us. That's me and Amy and Kate and Kentaro and Sienna and Lisa.
Oh, I have an
and
interjection when you're done.
Dakota. And you have what?
I have an interjection.
Interject, baby.
Okay. I just want to say that it's Kathy's birthday, December 31st. So I think we should all unmute and sing happy
No,
birthday
it's
to
the
Kathy.
30th.
30th?
No, you
30th.
can't.
I gotta-
No.
Yep. Unmute.
We're
Unmute
ready to start.
right now. Let's sing right now to
Okay.
Kathy's story. Are you ready?
Ready.
Okay, here we go. Happy birthday.
Say happy birthday.
Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. More.
This
Oh
is
my
recorded,
goodness.
right?
Thank you. Yeah, 39 again. I swear that's like you're on LSD and hearing somebody sing happy birthday to you. All right. That was a trip. Thank you, everyone. Yes, I'm yeah, my birthday's coming. Anyway,
Gotta change that
so
on the
thank you
calendar.
again from the bottom of our hearts for all the support, all the community, all the friendships, all the emails, everything. We really, really could not be doing this without your help, and we so appreciate it. And with that, let's all unmute, or you're already unmuted, aren't you? And say hello and goodbye.
Oh, hey, Ellen.
Goodbye.
Thank you.
See you next year.
Bye.
Happy New Year.
Bye. Thank you
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
so much.
Thank you,
I didn't know that's
Kathy, for all your
Margarita's
hard
bush.
work, Kathy and Amy.
Bye-bye. Bye.
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 Hi,
Bye,
Leslie.
everyone. Thank you.
Bye.
Hi, Diane.
All right.
Bye, thanks.
Bye, guys.
All right,
Bye.
Kathy, you're still recording.
Oh, we're still recording.
Pre-birthday
I'm gonna
girl.
stop the recording.
Yeah.